Well, Roger, yesterday they had a setup, a police compound area setup. We went down there, and by the time we got there, they had already broken it down. You could see tire tracks where all the vehicles had left. So it looks like they're setting up a lot of mobile command centers, and they're setting up and moving around throughout the town. And it almost seems like they're trying to get a feel for the reaction of the crowds in the neighborhoods, what they're doing. But what we were able to do was get some intel that there was a police compound command center type deal being set up in a building between a Target and a Foot Locker off of West Florissant. We were able to go around the back side of the building. We saw some communications antennas set up around there. It looked like it was newly set up, and they had brown paper blocking the windows, but we're able to see up higher. Jakari's a taller guy. He's able to reach up with the camera, and you could see in where they had tables set up and everything like that. It was once used for a command center back in August, and it looks like they're setting up that vacant building once again for another command center. Everyone's ready to brace for the worst just in case it comes to that point.
Well, with the way the media has been hyping it, what do you expect to happen in the next 2 days when this verdict, I think, is going to come down? I mean, they might announce at the same time Obama's announcing the end of our borders, the end of the country officially, because this isn't a one-time amnesty. This is a total opening of the borders.
Yeah, that's supposed to be tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right, tomorrow night.
So, yeah. So, I mean, it's a very good chance that they could use that as a cover as well. Wait on that to be released, get a lot of people's attention pulled on that, and then have the Ferguson issue pop off as well, where the, what we saw back in August, police pointing sniper rifles at people, massive chaos, flashbangs, tear gas, chasing people, stripping people of their liberties, martial law. Hopefully it doesn't get to that point again, but we've talked to a lot of the locals in the area, and a very, very small percentage of people think nothing will happen. I would say the masses believe that there will once again be riots, but I was pretty shocked. They think that most of the anger is going to be pushing more towards this Clayton area, because this is where all the buildings, this is where all the politicians work who make the decisions for what goes on in Ferguson. So they're directing a lot of anger towards this town, and Clayton is a town that people are suspecting is going to be heavily hit by rioters, protesters, anarchists, provocateurs, and things of that sort.
That's right. That's the county seat. So they're not expecting it so much to be in Ferguson as they're expecting it to be in the county seat town.
And yes, and they're saying that's because people are more well organized. They're saying that because of, in August, they weren't as prepared, and the people just lashed out in anger, and there was nobody in control of the protests whatsoever. But based off of the feel that I've got from the people I've talked to, these groups, these protesters, they're a lot more organized. They have leaders. They've been planning for months on end, and this is where they're planning on coming to and doing their demonstrations at. And
sure,
who knows? Just
also, you found a lot of those Facebook and Twitters where they're calling for going at the cops' houses. That's national news today, and attacking people. You ought to go do a report showing all these sites calling for violence for weeks that aren't getting in trouble. That, for me, Joe, that's real evidence that they want this to get out of hand, because you have a right to free speech all day long, and I'll fight for your right. I'm a big First Amendment advocate. Everybody knows that. But when you start randomly saying target some police officer's family, or you say you're going to burn down the county seat of the Justice Center, as they now call it, when you say that, you're organizing. I think these people aren't getting in trouble because I bet money they're federal informants or federal assets, like we've seen 9 out of 10. It's actually like 99 out of 100. The New York Times was forced to report of where the FBI and others under this Justice Department go out and actually create whole cloth the groups and then lead them with Molotov cocktails, you name it. And just like you found Molotov cocktails, tried to tell the cops they didn't want to know, same ones they were showing in the press conference the day before. This thing stinks to high heaven. I wonder if the rank-and-file cop knows that there's some provocateuring going on. I know some of the cops have told you off video that they do think that's happening.
Yes, indeed. Another concern that I've heard amongst the citizens, but a lot of the chatter I'm hearing from anarchist groups, activists coming in from California, they're hearing that the biggest threat for the area is that people are going to try and shut down the power grid here. They're thinking that's the number one priority. Yeah, that's
terrorist right there. People can freeze to death doing that.
They want to shut down the power grid first, and then from there hit their other targets as well, because it'll be a lot easier. Security systems will be down, So that's the biggest fear, is a power grid shutdown here in Clayton, throughout Ferguson.
Man, Joe, listen, you're getting all this incredible intel. Go do special reports on that in front of a power plant or a power station. Go ask people if they're worried about them shutting the power off. That's your headline right there. Provocateurs, threaten to target Ferguson power grid or Missouri power grid. I mean, that's huge.
That's everything I've found out just since I've woken up this morning. So I'm just trying to.
Well, no. You're doing an amazing job with Jakari. I'm just saying, get that all these out in little reports. We'll write articles about it. Show where they're making these threats. That'll put heat on the police that aren't part of this to go stop them. Because yes. I mean, obviously, folks. This sounds like Obama targeting our power grid. I mean, that's. I mean, what are these, mini kaijus or something?
Yeah, it's amazing the amount of outside people who are coming here to start chaos in a town that they don't even have to live in. A lot of them are going to pack their bags up. They're going to go home somewhere else where they don't have to worry about their power being out, where everything is going to work fine. So it's funny that these people come in here and they're literally making these people suffer, and then they're going to go back home to a nice, cush, warm apartment, house, whatever, and not have to worry about it, or not have to suffer like all these people are trying to cause suffering here in Clayton and Ferguson.
Well, let's expand on that.
Well,
anarchist, go ahead.
Well, from what I'm hearing, the reason they're trying to avoid Ferguson is because why do they want to hurt more people like themselves? They said they're planning on coming south. The south end is the more predominantly, from what I've been told, white neighborhoods, things like that. So
we should get George Norrie on for 10, 15 minutes. I know he's busy tomorrow to talk about this, because George Norrie lives south of there. And, I mean, that is just insane. I mean, I don't care what color you are. A mob of folks come to burn down my house, you're going to get some big problems. And
well, Jakari Jackson did a man on the street earlier. We maybe spoke to people for 45 minutes because it finally warmed up today. He'll have more information on the people he talked to, but he asked people what they think about that, if they're worried about, the sale of guns going up, things like that. So he can bring that information to you in the next segment as well.
Good. Well, let me just say this. The Justice Department's been caught provocateuring the Trayvon Martin. They've been caught provocateuring here. And I'm telling you, when you hear the word anarchist, they're all a bunch of Democratic Party trust fund kids. I've gone up against them that have punched me, hit me, death threatened me in Austin, in Denver, in L.A., in San Francisco, in Monterey, in New York. I mean, they come out of their way to mess with us because they want to confuse the public and not call themselves communist.
Well, the pesky group that's here right now, once again, is the RevCom, the Revolutionary Communist Party out of Chicago. They've kept people here thus far. Those are the ones that on days 1, 2, and 3 were in Ferguson back in August. Jakari Jackson.
Yeah, I want you to get in their face. I mean, you're always
I saw them get Molotov cocktails